Damn, every time that should be part of the video, every bullshit part of shit.
Yeah.
This nigga, it's like bait. That nigga be like, oh, let me start this shit. Just be chill. Let me see what I get at this nigga.
Yeah. Ooh, shit. Geelong next to Don.
Except my STEEZ, you know what's going on. Yes, Lord.
Shit, bring you finals. Round 1. Fight. Round 1 of footy, man. Round 1 of finals footy. First round of finals footy for us, man. Shit, how you feel about
takeaways?
Yeah.
All right, takeaways.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
first finals.
I feel like we don't have the same takeaway, bro. Because we've been talking about it throughout the whole week, bro. You already know I'm going with it. It's kind of like two-sided, two parts. First part, finals footy, I expected it to be like the referees aren't calling, like they're calling everything. Umpires, bro. They're really influencing the game, and to some extent, it seems like they're trying to make it about themselves more than it is about the players. And I kind of expected it more to be, I guess, lenient. Umpiring, really not even more lenient. It's just more average, like more standard, bro. It seems like they're really strict. Like somebody told them, like, yeah, you officially right now, you have to goddamn be tough, crack down on these players right now for some reason. But also, skills players showed up, bro. Like the superstar players showed up. The players that wanted it, at least, you can tell. Like off this first week, you really seen what players wanted it the most. What players really didn't play up to par, play up to standard that they usually play. So it was very interesting to see who stood out. So that's my takeaways.
Yeah. So the umpire thing, and the umpires were just hard. Like, and you can't even argue with the calls. They were correct calls, but it's like you haven't been doing that all season, so it's just kind of weird to just be so much more strict come finals time. It's like if players been getting away with shit all year, how are you just gonna, finals time comes around, oh now you're gonna enforce it hard, right? So yeah, the umpires were kind of throwing me off a little bit finals, but other than that, the level of play definitely increased a lot. Man, I really enjoyed all 4 of these games. They were all gave something different. A lot of teams impressed me a lot. Some teams let me down. But for my tips, I got half the games right.
I was 1-3. And you would be fucking surprised to see who I got right.
But yeah, all in all, this was definitely a great round of footy. Finals footy is exciting. The 2 elimination games were great. I'm definitely looking forward to next week for more eliminations. But till then, let's talk about these games this week.
Let's get it.
Game 1, we got Port Adelaide versus Geelong.
At home and at the Adelaide Oval, which was proved to be very key in this game.
Man, so Port, man. Port, I've been doubting y'all all year. I really didn't think y'all were going to be able to bring it come the end, but y'all coach, who's your coach again? Ken Hinkley. Been saying just wait till the finals. And but y'all boys showed up, man. This is the best I've seen y'all play all year. Just really all bases covered, man. Y'all had great pressure all game. Geelong really couldn't do shit with y'all. If you going against Port, bro, I know Port got a little bye week since they won this game. I would be definitely scared to play Port in the form they're in right now, bro. That shit is crazy. I didn't even think. I wasn't expecting this shit at all. I knew they might have been a little better. I know they at full power and all this, but I really wasn't expecting what I got from them.
Right. We both tipped Geelong, didn't we?
Yep.
So yeah, so we. No.
I
said Port. This is the one game I got right, but I didn't really expect it to go in this fashion at all. Just to headline this game, though, this was Tom Hawkins' 300th game. So salute to him. Definitely didn't end up the way that he wanted it in a 43-point loss. And we've been saying, bro, I don't believe in Port beating. They haven't beat top 18. But also, really, one thing that they highlighted is Geelong really struggles in the first week of the finals. Like especially if it's the qualifying finals and elimination finals, they struggle, bro, and they have for some reason. And so maybe it wasn't a big surprise as it was. Some people who are more seasoned fans of footy in the AFL probably maybe expected this to go that way. So, surprise. Tom Hawkins specifically, he struggles too. He kind of goes with Geelong's struggles in the beginning of like the first round. He came in and he missed the set shot early in the game, and everybody was like, "All right, bro, is he about to be on this type of shit again?" But like you said, Port pressure. They brought the pressure real hard, bro. They really disrupt Geelong. They didn't let them get the kick mark game going as Geelong likes to do to really set the tone in early in the game. And Geelong didn't have that. They had a couple shots on goal, but they weren't really efficient. They definitely needed that to go in their favor in the whole game. They're 5-13. And it's crazy because Port didn't even have Georgiades. He wasn't playing this game, so they weren't even full power. But the small forwards, specifically in Port, I think really stepped up. Fantasia had big moments. Robbie Gray had big moments. And I think one thing that really hurt Geelong was when O'Connor went down and he was the one who guarded Connor Rosie and Robbie Gray. And as we see that they got kind of unleashed as the game went on a little bit. Two main points I think that kind of highlighted Geelong's night. Tom Stewart was gone, and I think they really felt that. Henderson, you seen the two key mistakes that he made, bro. That one where he dropped the mark or whatever when Charlie Dixon put the pressure on him, and then he ended up having to hold the ball. Motlop got the ball and he scored after that. And then the one where he tried to tip the ball or something, and I forgot who was it, Robbie Gray maybe, who scored.
Fantasy.
It might have been him too. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, but just that kind of summarized Geelong's night.
Yeah, they only really had one good quarter. The rest they were really just trying to fight back into it. The Port just wasn't letting that happen.
Alir dictated the game, bro. Geelong couldn't figure out how to get Alir out of the game. I think in the second quarter they did a better job. They did a better job to kind of get it away from him, but Alir was there, bro. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. Made himself an effective spot every time the kick went inside 50. So.
Yeah, I would definitely say Alir was best on ground that game, man. He had the biggest impact for sure, man. Mm-hmm. Geelong was definitely trying to game plan around him, and they couldn't.
Right. The one thing I think we both enjoyed about the game was when Jeremy Cameron hit the truck stick on, bro. Had him and pushed him off. That was pretty dope. That was one of the only nice things Geelong did. It turned the ball over too many times, bro. What else? There was something else I want to talk about. Oh, they did say there was some news that Dangerfield had like a broken hand or broken bone in his hand. It kind of seemed like some excuses, but if you really go and look at it, he was dropping some marks, so maybe that could be a factor. I'm definitely going to be looking at that next game, and it definitely is going to have an effect on my tips as well, just foreshadowing as we get into the tips. But it's not looking good for Geelong. Next game, they have to win. Yeah, show it.
So the game that decided who Geelong will be playing, Sydney versus GWS. And this game I would say was the game of the round. Well, the game of finals week 1. Definitely a close game, back and forth the whole time. Going into this game, I really didn't want these two teams to play each other this early because I knew the type of effort and the type of heart both these teams would bring to the game. And we got that, man. It was definitely a close game. Sydney, I feel like Sydney should have pulled it out, but they fell in love with the posters in the end, bro. They just had one too many posters, man, really. And GWS, man, thank y'all for winning this game. I tipped y'all. I don't think nobody else in the chat was going for GWS, so I'm glad we pulled this one out. But Toby Green, bro. Toby Green bumping the umpire for no fucking reason, bro. I was just say this. I like GWS, but Toby Green, bro, he's definitely a little dirty, bro. He's
screw loose too.
I can't even deny that, bro. But I would love to have him on my team, but Toby Green plays with no care in the world for anybody else. I mean, he's mushing people, hands in his faces, bumping umpires. What do you get? He got suspended for 3 games?
Mm-hmm. They're AFL's trying to appeal it, so I don't know if they're trying to make it longer than that.
I think they are. They're trying to double it. They're trying to make it 6. Yeah.
6.
So, Toby Green, you might have just fucked your team out of a grand finals
Because there's 3 possible games left, right? So he won't be playing this year at all. This season's done. Regardless.
Yeah, it's over with. And his team definitely need him. Canelio didn't step up how I would have liked him to.
Mm-hmm.
But they won games without him, so we'll see.
Yeah, man. That was definitely the talk of the week. Toby Green walking into the umpire. And did you see him explaining it to Mumford? He was like, yeah, it was like kind of just seemed like he didn't even really care, bro. He was kind of like, yeah, I did that shit type shit. But it's Toby Green, bro. Like you said, you'll take him. But and he was really big for GWS in the first quarter after Jesse Hogan. Man, we talked about that inside 50 kick that was like he soccered it off the ground.
Yeah.
And then Toby Green really hit the angle to get the ball and really scored off that. So that's not something that every player can do, especially in finals time, especially if to recover off of such a bad kick. And Sydney really looked good early in the game. They were dominating the inside 50s, but they weren't efficient at all. And that's the thing that it's looking like. You're not efficient inside 50, you're not going to win this game. You definitely have to take advantage of your opportunities. And Sydney didn't do that in the beginning of the game. They didn't do that at the end of the game. And that definitely bit them in the ass. GWS kind of just stayed the course the whole game. They were more efficient every time they did go in. They didn't have as many opportunities, but they definitely made the most of it compared to how Sydney did. I think Jesse Hogan really, towards the second half, towards the end of the second half, Jesse Hogan had that mark inside 50, and that kind of get the momentum swinging GWS way. Isaac Heaney, he kind of helped Sydney really try to perform the comeback to win the game. He really had key moments where he was catching marks, where he was scoring involved, whether he was involved in the chain, handballs, or whatever the case is, or scoring a goal himself. And like you said, Sydney, and we were sitting right here, and I was like, bro, is Sydney really finna come back off just hitting posters, bro? Because they were down like 7 or 8, and they kept hitting post, and there was no goals, bro. And when Buddy lined up, we were just so sure he was about to hit that, bro, and he didn't. And it was like, bro, do y'all realize how serious this game is? Like, are y'all that nervous, or what is the case, bro? Because it was just disappointing. And GWS was allowing too many of the inside 50s, but the defense held up. And also, I've been saying it for many weeks, Sydney, the contested possession is a big deal with them. They lost the contested possession on this game. And I think a key point is they didn't have Callum Mills, who is above average player in pretty much every statistical category, whether I like him or not. And he's big on contested possession, so. And they didn't need him, though. It's not an excuse because they were in position to win this game, and they didn't. So hats off to GWS. They're going to go against Geelong next week, like you said earlier. And I actually think that'll be a good contest.
Yeah. It just seemed like Sydney just kind of, their players just started fading off towards the game. Isaac Heaney tried to bring it back, but he didn't. Coming into this game, I thought Tom Papley was going to have to do a lot to win this game, and he didn't do too much after that first quarter, honestly.
Okay.
Toby Green had one of the best handballs I've seen, bro. This nigga hit the shit high as fuck, and it just landed right in his right hand, bro. That was a nice ass handball. I'm trying to be like Toby one day in certain ways. I'll take that back, bro. I want to play like Toby.
Facts. If we highlight handballs, I like the one that Robbie Gray did, a little lightning handball.
Oh,
that shit was pretty fire. I like that shit.
All right. Next game we got Melbourne versus Brisbane Lions. This was not an elimination game.
Qualifying final.
But I was expecting a lot more from Brisbane. I'm really just disappointed in Brisbane, bro. I really thought they were gonna come out and put more of an offensive performance on. I knew this game was gonna be kind of defense versus offense. Defense. Melbourne having one of the best defense, Brisbane having one of the best offense, but defense won this game. Brisbane really couldn't get going. I really can't pinpoint what it was either. It's just Melbourne, they just fit together more. It was just hard for Brisbane to get anything in there for 50. Max Gone had a lot to do with it. Just them having a dominant ruck plus Petrarca and Clayton Oliver right there. Melbourne's looking tough too. It's like, so if I had to just base off this week's performance or last week's performance, bro, Port and Melbourne are looking like the teams to beat. I really didn't see too many holes in Melbourne's game like that. They just didn't score as often as I would like, but it's definitely capable. But their defense is holding up. Their defense is definitely going to win them games, man.
Brisbane was disappointing, bro. Just to start it off, this was Charlie Cameron's 150th game, so shout out to him. Some things worth noting. I said last week, Mitch Robinson and Harris Andrews would be important. Guess what happened? Harris Andrews looked like a shell of himself, looked terrible. Mitch Robinson looked a little better, but not to the standard that he would hold himself, I'm sure he would say. Another big thing, Dan McStay broke his nose in the game. Another forward gets hurt with already depleted forward line with Hipwood out already. So you're already having stuff going against you. So Brisbane definitely had to put a decent effort, a great effort, forward specifically. I think Charlie Cameron did good. He held up his end. He had 5 goals this game. Danaher didn't have a goal, but he had a goal every other game this season, right? So boom, look at that. Lost. Need you, Danaher, need you. But as far as the game goes, it was a good pressure game, I think, on both sides. Really, especially Melbourne, though. It was looking like a contest. Like I said, McStee broke his nose, I think, 5 minutes into the game. So they had to deal with that early on. Cameron had, out of his 5 goals, he had 3 in the first quarter. He really was making his presence felt, bro. He was running. He was everywhere. He really was everywhere. So you could see that he wanted it, and now's the time he tried to get his team involved, and it definitely didn't. His energy didn't spread with the rest of the team, and they definitely were cracked under Melbourne's pressure. And like you said, Max gone. He played pretty good. I think McInerney, he played pretty good. He actually did decent against Max gone early in the game, at least before the game got out of hand. We were talking about Harris Andrews. You seen the moment that he tried to spoil the ball and missed the whole fucking ball, bro. Yeah. And Clayton Oliver got his 1 goal off that, and that was a big momentum shift right there. Second quarter is when Brisbane really got the momentum, when Bailey Fritsch really got involved in the game. We've been saying that we're not really sure about Melbourne's forward line like that. They're just inconsistent. We know Fritsch is talented, but he doesn't show up every game, and he definitely showed up this game. When needed, he had 4 goals this game. Charlie Spargo, is it Charlie? I think his name is Charlie Spargo. Spargo. Let's go with Spargo. He had a holding the ball tackle, which was big, to give a goal right inside 50. So, set shot right in front of the goal. I think the third quarter is where Melbourne kind of faltered a little bit. Clayton Oliver, he got kneed in the back. I was kind of worried about that, so I'm definitely going to be looking at that going into next week. Brisbane fought back a little bit in the third quarter, like I said, but Melbourne didn't really score any goals, I don't think, in the third quarter at all. But fourth quarter, I think Brisbane just really got into it. I mean, not Brisbane, but Melbourne really got into it. Petrarca got involved, especially in the fourth quarter, and he iced the game for him. Lockie Neal was really the only player, midfielder, to show up in this game for Brisbane. He had, I don't know if it was 41 or 46, I'm not sure the exact number, but he had, I think, the most number of disposals in a finals game ever. So shout out to Lockie Neal. You can see him anytime Brisbane really had something going, he was involved, and there was no McCluggers didn't step up like he needed to, and it was just tough for him. It was really tough for them to handle the grit that Melbourne had. And Melbourne was running. They run like a team, bro. They look more united as a team on the field. At least this game they did, and it really just showed that it went well for them. And they didn't even play as good as they could have. They weren't as efficient as they could have been. So Luke Jackson fucked his teeth up, took that knee to the face, bro, when he fell on. Really, both of his teeth were missing at one point. That shit was crazy. But Brisbane looking suspect, man. I really, on a couple lines, a couple areas of the field. So
yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting next week. They definitely needed that 4th spot.
They needed the 4th spot more than ever.
For sure. Next and last game, also a elimination game. We had Bulldogs versus Essendon. In this game here, the Dogs were just they outperformed. Essendon was just outclassed, man. Pretty much. I know there was a lot of believers in the Essendon train, bro, that they had.
Shut the fuck up, nigga.
They had all this momentum, and they were gonna be great coming into the finals.
High and mighty ass niggas over there.
And it's nobody believed in the Dogs, bro. And I was trying to tell people.
Can you blame us though?
Could you blame us? No, I can't.
All right, go ahead.
But they came in and they were looking questionable in the first quarter, but they picked it up and they came through. Essendon, they really controlled the game the first quarter. Matter of fact, Essendon, they just couldn't get any goals. That's really what the problem was. They had a lot of opportunities. The Dogs were having a hard time making it to their 50, 450, and Essendon really just blew it, bro. They really just needed to keep that pressure on, but they're doing what you can't do in the finals, and that's just not play a full game, bro. Dogs brought it the whole time. They stayed consistent, and they might be a threat, I guess, especially going up against Brisbane next week. This is where I think that momentum is going to come into play. I really don't know which way that game is going to go. I'm going to have to figure out by the end of this video.
Oh, God. I think I already know where I'm going to go, but I've been thinking about it. All right, yeah. Like you said, all right, so some key points worth noting, I think, in this game. It was a rainy game, and I think as the rain got on, Essendon really couldn't handle that as much as the Dogs could. Just Dogs, like you said, it came to class, and Dogs really were able to handle that as well better. I think Sam Draper, he had a great game. Shout out to Sam Draper, the young ruck. He was dominant at different points in the game. And despite that, they still couldn't win. I think and Mara and Parrish did their part, I think, well, at least initially, through the initial contest, I think they did good. But as far as after the contest, bro, as far as getting to the ball, if the ball did get you know what I'm saying, spoiled out or whatever the case was, the Dogs were always on it, bro. Dogs, just as a collective, were more as a team and more well structured and put together, kind of like we were talking about how Melbourne was. Essendon didn't score a goal at all in the second half. It really came down to mistakes like turnovers. And if you talk to an Essendon fan or a GWS fan, they will say the Dogs won because of free kicks. Waitman really had a big effect on this, and people have been. I've seen on social media people have been giving Waitman shit for diving or whatever they call it. I think some of them were, you know what I'm saying, unwarranted, but you really can't blame him for that, bro. Like, he's a young player and he's found his way to get his team a win in finals, and as great as many players, great players as the Dogs have, he was one of the players you really have to the name that you have to bring first. So shout out to him for making an impact on the game and beating the team that even myself was doubting. And he's been key. He's been pivotal in moments where the Dogs need some momentum, and he's capable of bringing that. So salute to him. The Flea. The Dogs brought strong pressure, man. Strong pressure. Like you said, Essendon played very good in the beginning of the game. Stringer had an early goal. I thought he was, and look, that's the thing. Papley had an early goal. Stringer had an early goal. Both of them went missing later on in the game, and that's really what it came down to. I think they needed Stringer to do more.
Yeah.
Momentum was hard to come by for Essendon, like we said, and I think the Dogs just hit another gear in the second half as far as contested possession, the ground ball, the clearances. It was just nothing that they could have got. Usually get something from what, I wouldn't say usually get, but I was talking about the Essendon having the forward line is not quite stacked up like Brisbane and Geelong and all these other teams. You didn't really get nothing from 2 Meter Peter as far as his dominant games that you've seen him have flashes of, and you couldn't get one of those at a time where they needed it. They didn't have Tip and Woody to rely on as far as pressure, so they had some shit going against them, but they really just couldn't come by it. They just looked bad in the second half. They couldn't get over the goal scoring woes. So inefficiency got them too, just like it did Sydney in contested possessions. So. Yeah. I'll eat that bullet, Essendon. I'm a Carlton fan, so at the end of the day, it makes me smile. We can go. I wish I had the official number, 6,000 something though. We're gonna go and add another 360 some days, or probably 350 something now, until Essendon potentially wins a final. But I think if anybody's gonna take your spot in the finals next year, you know who to do. You know who it'll be. Yes, Lord. Fuck you talking about?
Yeah. So goodbye, Essendon.
Goodbye, Sydney.
Goodbye, Sydney.
Next week.
The tips next week.
Who
Let's
will be
see.
gone?
Let's see, man. Next week, 2 elimination games. Where the camera? We got 24 minutes. Got 5 minutes to make a decision, bro.
I'm straight.
So, next week, 2 elimination games. We got Geelong, GWS.
Out the stadium.
Actually, it's out just in Brisbane versus the Dogs.
At the Gabba. So Brisbane at home.
Facts. Who you got with Geelong and then GWS, bro?
All right, so this is tough because, like I said about the whole Dangerfield injury situation, the Tom Stewart situation, I'm not sure who to go with, but I think really the defining situation with Toby Green is really what made the situation final for me. To back the Cats in a backup game, we already know they struggle in the first round. I think they'll back up. They were in the grand final last year, so obviously they did it last year too. I'll back them to win this game against GWS out the stadium.
So I'm actually gonna have to go GWS again, bro. Even though they're missing Toby Green, they won plenty of games without him this year. Big Mummy's still playing, and I think they're really just gonna outrun Geelong. They really had a close game last week, and I think they're just gonna want it that much more. Geelong might want it too, but Geelong been clumsy lately, so I'm just gonna trust GWS to capitalize on the mistakes that I know the Cats are gonna make.
All right, man. Split tips again. I got to catch up anyway.
All right, next game, last game.
Oh my God.
Brisbane versus Dogs. This is probably the harder game to decide.
It is,
on.
but Brisbane's at home, bro. All right, fuck it. I'm gonna back the Dogs, bro. I'm gonna get off the Brisbane train, bro. I just seen too much, bro. Like I tested it last week. I tested it, and look, like Harris Andrews, you haven't shown me, bro. If you have problems on the back line and the forward line with McStay out, and then Hipwood's already out, I'm not sure about the McStay situation. I doubt he's coming back. Danaher's and Cameron gonna have to combine for like fucking 10 goals, bro. I'm not sure, bro. I just don't see it, especially with the back and the forward line. And then the midfield got outclassed by Melbourne, and a dog strong suit is the midfield. I'm not sure, bro. I just have to back the Dogs, bro. I hate that I had to renege on my pick with Brisbane, but Dog showed me, bro.
You are making a compelling argument, but I don't want to back down on Brisbane winning, bro. I really think they're gonna sit down and talk about it. I think Brisbane has done the best at learning from their mistakes throughout this season. And at the moment, I don't think Port is a better team than the Dogs. So I think they'll be able to move around the Bulldogs a little bit easier than Port. I do think I can see their offense getting a little more involved. I can see Charlie Cameron stepping up a lot more this game. And the Dogs have a weak offense. I think Harris Andrews and Mitch is going to be enough to stop the Dogs from scoring, and that's all you got to really do to beat the Dogs. If the Essendon can keep them out to 50, then I think Brisbane can keep them out to 50. So Brisbane it is.
See, it's just hard, bro, because just like we were saying, McInerney played good against Macedon, bro, and Dogs struggle in the rough, bro. Draper 8, bro. A young bull Draper.
Yeah.
So it's like it can go either way, bro. It's
gonna be interesting, bro.
Oh,
and it's final splitting, bro.
It can go either way, bro.
It's definitely gonna be interesting. We're gonna be live for those brands. Definitely tune in with us, man.
This is tough, bro.
Yeah. Shit. But I mean, that video about to be goddamn stopping, so we get it just in time, man.
Just in time. No J. Lou.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that. We almost to 1,000 views, man. 1,000 subs.
Almost to 1,000 subs.
Please subscribe.
Tell a mate, tell a bloke.
All that.
All that.
We out though.
Oh.